Karina, and I work with Taylor, and Caitlin, and we'll be talking about how alcohol relates to nutrition. So what is alcohol? Alcohol is a colorless, volatile, flammable liquid that is produced by the natural fermentation of sugars and is the intoxicating constituent of wine, beer, spirits, and other drinks, and is also used as an industrial solvent and as a fuel. According to the United Health Foundation, about 21% of adults in Montana admit to excessive drinking. This is about above the U.S. average, and Montana ranks 42nd out of the 50 states. Excessive drinking is defined as binge drinking, having 4 or more drinks for women and 5 or more drinks for men on one occasion, or chronic drinking, which is having 8 or more for women and 15 or more for men in 1 week. Not only does Montana exceed the U.S. average in excessive drinking in general, but it exceeds the averages in almost all of the subcategories, which include race, gender, age, urbanicity, education, and income. Excessive drinking is an issue because it leads not only to poor decision-making, injuries, and violence, but also to long-term issues such as liver disease, high blood pressure, stroke, cancer, and memory problems. What's nutrition? So, nutrition is the process of providing or obtaining the food necessary for health and growth. So, what occurs in the body as a result of alcohol consumption? According to the CDC, excessive alcohol can lead to the development of chronic diseases and other serious problems, including high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, liver disease, digestive problems, cancers, learning and memory problems, mental health problems such as depression or anxiety, social problems which include unemployment and loss of productivity. Side effects of consuming alcohol often only appear after there has been damage, which means it's hard to notice how much damage you are doing to your body until it's too late and the damage is already done. And the more you drink, the greater the damage will become. Bloating, feeling of fullness in your abdomen, and diarrhea or painful stools are some of the immediate side effects of alcohol consumption. People who drink heavily consistently may develop ulcers or hemorrhoids due to dehydration and constipation. This may cause dangerous internal bleeding if not taken care of. Ulcers can be fatal if they aren't diagnosed and treated early. People who consume too much alcohol may also be at risk for cancer. People who drink frequently are more likely to develop cancer in the mouth, throat, esophagus, colon, or liver. People who drink regularly and use tobacco together have an even greater cancer risk, which is a large issue in Montana. Alcohol affects the digestive and nutrient absorption also. Drinking too much alcohol can cause abnormal activation of digestive enzymes produced by the pancreas. Buildup of these enzymes can lead to inflammation known as pancreatitis. Pancreatitis can become a long-term condition and can cause serious complications. Alcohol consumption can damage the tissues in your digestive tract and prevent your intestines from digesting food and absorbing nutrients and vitamins that the body depends on to function. As a result, malnutrition may occur.
Hi, I'll be doing positives of alcohol consumption. So there are psychosocial health benefits as well as physiological health benefits. So psychosocial health benefits of consumption of alcohol, and when we keep consumption of alcohol and the positives in mind, we need to keep in mind that it's always in moderation, it's not in excess. So heavy consumers and those who abstain from consuming alcohol completely, meaning that people who don't consume alcohol at whatsoever, have higher rates of clinical depression than do regular moderate consumers. So those people that are excessively drinking and not drinking at all, the two extremes, have higher rates of clinical depression than those who consume at a moderate and regular rate. Alcohol stimulates social bonding, reduces displays of negative emotions, and increases the amount of time spent talking to one another. So there's a social aspect of drinking alcohol socially. Psychosocial study found that alcohol increased the frequency of genuine smiles and enhanced the coordination of these smiles between other people, meaning these groups that were provided alcohol were more likely than those offered non-alcoholic beverages to have all 3 group members within a group of 3 to smile simultaneously with one another. In the same study done, participants of alcohol drinking groups reported greater social bonding than did non-alcoholic drinkers. And in low and moderate doses, alcohol has been used to effectively treat psychiatric issues, so geriatric psychiatric issues. And then onto the physiological health benefits. In moderation, alcohol consumption reduces the risk of developing and dying from heart disease. In moderation, it can reduce the risk of an ischemic stroke. In moderation, it is effective in reducing stress, both physiological and self-reported stress. In low and moderate amounts, it increases overall affective expression, happiness, euphoria, friendliness, as well as pleasant and carefree feelings. It decreases tension, depression, and self-consciousness. And in low amounts, it can improve certain cognitive functions like problem solving and short-term memory.
Excessive alcohol intake can wipe out all of the benefits mentioned earlier and create a number of serious health problems. Some of the short-term negative effects of alcohol consumption include slurring of speech, drowsiness, vomiting, impaired judgment, emotional changes, sleep disruption, lowering of body temperature, temporary loss of consciousness, and blackouts, which is where a drinker does not remember anything that happened while he or she was drinking. All of these short-term effects can eventually lead to more serious long-term effects. Some of the long-term negative effects of consuming excessive alcohol include high blood pressure or hypertension, stroke, and liver disease and damage. The Recovery Ranch says that on average, a healthy liver can detoxify and eliminate roughly 1/4 to 1/3 of an ounce of pure alcohol per hour. This is less than the amount of alcohol contained in a single drink of liquor, beer, or wine. Any alcohol consumption above this hourly rate will overwork the liver and over time lead to liver disease and damage. More negative effects include pancreatitis, gastritis, ulcers, nerve damage, and decrease in brain function, depression, vitamin B1 deficiency, and malnutrition leading to weight loss and weight gain. Alcohol consumption can cause two types of malnutrition. According to the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, primary malnutrition occurs when alcohol replaces other nutrients in the diet, resulting in reduction of the nutrient intake. Secondary malnutrition occurs when alcohol interferes with the absorption of adequate nutrients. UpToDate says that alcohol causes nutritional complications from both its primary effects on intake and metabolism of nutrients and secondary effects in end organ damage. Both acute and chronic alcohol consumption can cause malnutrition by decreasing dietary caloric intake, impairing nutrient digestion and absorption, decreasing protein synthesis and secretion, increasing catabolism of gut proteins, and increasing breakdown and excretion of nutrients. The degree of malnutrition depends on the amount of alcohol consumed, the quality of food intake, genetics, and the presence and severity of comorbid illnesses. The risk of developing micro and macronutrient deficiencies increases significantly when alcohol makes up more than 30% of your total calorie intake. And then finally, some of the last negative effects include an increased risk for mouth, throat, esophagus, stomach, and liver cancer, and also a weakened immune system. Excessive alcohol consumption can also have a negative effect on more than just a person's health. It can also affect a person's marriage and family and financial status. Along with spending money on purchasing alcohol, when a person drinks an abundance of alcohol, it could lead to some of these health problems mentioned, which will most likely call for medical attention, costing even more money. The CDC says that binge drinking results in $171 billion a year in healthcare-related costs.
So how does alcohol nutrition have to do with the healthcare field? So prevalence is rising. This creates public health problems that become very serious. So early intervention and education is needed. About 3 in 10 U.S. adults drink at levels that elevate the risk for physical, mental health, and social problems. Of these heavy drinkers, 1 in 4 currently has alcohol abuse or dependency. All heavy drinkers have a greater risk of hypertension, gastrointestinal bleeding, sleep disorders, major depression, cirrhosis of liver, and several other cancers. So let's expand on some of the statistics a little more. So according to the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, there was a survey taken in 2015. So underage drinking, which was aged 12 to 20 years, and it found that 5.1 million people reported binge drinking in the past month, and of heavy alcohol use, 1.3 million people reported in the last month. And then for college students aged 18 to 22 years of age, 37.9% reported binge drinking in the last month, and 12.5% reported heavy drinking in the last month. This even comes into alcohol and pregnancy. So the prevalence of fetal alcohol syndrome in the United States was estimated by the Institute of Medicine in 1996 to be between 0.5 and 3 cases per 1,000. More recent reports from specific U.S. sites report that prevalence of fetal alcohol syndrome is 2 to 7 cases per 1,000, and the prevalence of fetal alcohol spectrum disorders to be as high as 20 to 50 cases per 1,000. So this is just another visual to emphasize the rates of binge drinking in the past 30 days. So we can see college student, age, and just getting out of college students have the highest rate of binge drinking. So what actions and preventions can be taken in the healthcare field? So as future nurses and other healthcare workers, we need to know how to detect and intervene as best as we can when it comes to alcohol abuse and addiction. Direct patient care and patient education are the top ways for this, whether this be a quick visit or a lengthy health history. As nursing students, we are taught in assessment to be very observant of our patients. How do they respond to questions? Are they sad? Is there any odor? Does their mood match their affect? And any of these characteristics which could be slightly off, we can screen for and find out the underlying cause. So screening for alcohol disorders in primary care can vary from one simple question to an extensive assessment using standardized questionnaires. If suspected alcohol abuse, clinicians under strict time constraints may have time to ask patients only one screening question about his or her alcohol consumption. One study has shown that a positive response to the question, on any single occasion during the past 3 months, have you had more than 5 drinks in one sitting? This accurately identifies patients who meet their NIAA's criteria for at-risk drinking or criteria for alcohol abuse or dependency. Another good way to assess alcohol is when doing a nutritional assessment. Like we learned in the past few weeks about nutritional assessments such as the 24-hour recall, a lot of people tend to forget like drinks. So you can ask them, what did you have to drink for this meal or maybe dinner, and they may casually just be like, oh, I had 5 beers. That might be a time for education. So more screening tools. So as I mentioned, some good screening tools in questionnaire are such as CAGE. And CAGE questionnaire is popular for screening in the primary care setting because it is short, simple, and easy to remember. The audit stands for Alcohol Use Disorders Identification Test, which was developed in 1882 by the World Health Organization. It is a simple way to screen and identify problems of risk of alcohol problems. And then we have the Audit C, which is a 3-item alcohol questionnaire, which is a kind of a simplified version of the audit in case you have time restraints. So, education, education, education. A common reaction to the screening question is everybody's going to meet this at least occasionally for the maybe couple binge drinking days. But a large national survey by NIAA, however, showed that nearly 3/4 of U.S. adults never exceed the limits in the screening question. Even if patients report that they only drink heavily on rare occasions, screening provides an opportunity to educate them about safe drinking limits so that heavy drinking doesn't become more frequent. So if patients show alcohol abuse or addiction based off the screenings, we can then educate them and help them receive interventions such as the withdrawal managements, relapse prevention, goal-setting strategies, controlled drinking programs, residual programs, and self-help groups. Alright, that's the last thing we needed to check for the physical assessment. Everything looks good and we can transition into nutritional assessment. Okay, so everything looks good on the physical assessment. Let's move on to the nutritional assessment. We're just going to do a 24-hour recall, so can you tell me what you ate yesterday, starting with breakfast?
For breakfast, I had coffee with creamer, and I had an omelet with a side of hash browns, and then for lunch, I had a sandwich and a salad, and then I kind of splurged and had a brownie. And then for dinner, I decided I wasn't going to eat anything because I knew that I was going to go out drinking later, so I thought I'd save myself the calories because I know that alcohol's high in calories, and I know it sounds bad, but I just I'm trying to watch my weight.
Okay, so you didn't eat dinner because you wanted to just substitute the alcoholic calories for your dinner? Is that right? Okay. Okay. Have you heard the difference between nutritional dense calories and empty calories?
I've heard of it, but I'm not really 100% sure on what the difference is between the two.
Okay. So, from a nutritional point of view, alcoholic drinks represent empty calories. They are high in calories but low in nutritional value. Alcohol itself has a comparatively high energy content. So, alcohol provides extra calories and slows fat and carbohydrate oxidation. When talking about nutrient-dense foods, this means that they provide a good amount of vitamins and minerals your body uses for nourishment while having a lower calorie intake. So by skipping dinner, which would provide your body with nutrient-dense foods, and those would be absorbed and used for metabolic purposes while still containing calories, for which are used in the body for nourishment. While alcohol might have the same amount of calories, but will not provide your body with the vitamins and minerals. So just taking a look at some of maybe the calorie intake of the alcoholic beverages. So a 12-ounce beer contains approximately 153 calories. Gin, rum, vodka, whiskey, tequila shots are about 97 calories. And a glass of red wine is about 125 calories. So if you're comparing that with, like, say, an apple, which is about 95 calories, so same of like a vodka shot. So your vodka shot's not giving your body any vitamins or minerals, while your apple has a vitamin A, calcium, vitamin D, B12, vitamin C, iron, vitamin B6, and magnesium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I would suggest maybe just moderate drinking and making sure you're getting dinner and your nourishment. Do you feel like you have a substance abuse issue when it comes to alcohol?
I think so. I don't party quite as hard as some of the other college students I go to school with, so I don't think don't have an issue or dependency on
Okay.
it.
Would you mind doing an audit questionnaire screening?
What's that?
So the audit stands for Alcohol Use Disorders Identification Test, and it's just a 10-item or 10-question to assess consumption, drinking behaviors, and alcohol-related problems. Will that be okay?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it.
All right. So how often do you have a drink containing alcohol?
I just have like a couple drinks every weeknight, and then on the weekends, probably a little bit more than that.
Okay. So probably 2 to 4 times a month, maybe, or 4 more times a week.
4 more times a week, I'd say.
Okay. How many standard drinks containing alcohol do you have on a typical day when drinking? 1 or 2, 3 or 4, 5 or 6, 7 to 9, or 10 or more?
I'd say for a weekday, maybe like 2 to 4, and then for a weekend, maybe on the higher end.
Okay. How often do you have 6 or more drinks on one occasion?
Probably twice a week, Fridays
Twice a
and
week?
Saturdays.
Okay, so weekly. All right. During the past year, how often have you found that you were not able to stop drinking once you had started?
Well, you go out to the bars and you have such a good time and everyone's drinking and it's so social and it's so fun. What's the point of stopping?
So maybe less than a month or monthly?
Probably monthly. Yeah.
Okay. During the past year, how often have you failed to do what was normally expected of you because of drinking?
Well, I always make sure that I get my homework done on time. So, and I don't miss class, because I'm hungover or anything. So.
Okay. All right. So during the past year, how often have you needed a drink in the morning to get yourself going after a heavy drinking session?
Maybe just Sundays, Sunday mornings just to, get rid of that hangover after, the Friday and the Saturday heavy.
Would you say it's every Sunday?
Probably, yeah.
So
Yeah.
monthly?
Yeah.
Okay. Or weekly, that would be weekly. During the past year, how often have you had a feeling of guilt or remorse after drinking?
Oh, I never feel guilty for drinking. That's my time to let loose and kind of relax after working so hard.
Okay. During the past year, how have you been unable to remember what happened the night before because you had been drinking?
It's hard to say.
Would you say less than monthly?
Probably monthly.
Have you or someone else been injured as a result of your drinking?
I don't think so. Not that I remember, at least.
Has a relative or friend, doctor, or other healthcare worker been concerned about your drinking or suggested you cut down?
I mean, my mom always calls me and tells me that I drink too much, but you know, I'm like, Mom, it's college. You just don't understand. You know, it's supposed to be a party. You know, yeah. I think she's just worried. You know, like a mom always worries, but I don't think it's anything too substantial.
Okay. Well, I will score that, and then I will give you the results.
Thank you.
All right, so with the scoring of the audit, if the score is above an 8 or more, it is associated with harmful or hazardous drinking, and you were above an 8. So just to make sure that everything is going okay, would you mind maybe taking some pamphlets, maybe for some outsourced groups that could help you just kind of cope and help with moderation of drinking more?
Yeah, sure.
So I got you a pamphlet, and so on here are some informational websites and the numbers. Self-help groups close around the area that you can call and check out if that's something that you want to do. There's a couple support groups, and then also those numbers are on there. And then there's a Smart Recovery, and I've heard really good things about this one from other people. And all the numbers are there. You can come back and contact me if you have any other questions or concerns, and then we can maybe schedule a checkup to kind of check in with you.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Reporting live from the Windbag, tonight there's a special on drinks. A couple of my peers are going, and I asked them earlier today if I could ask them about what they know about what's in their drink. And they said yes. So, I'm 21, here's the ID to prove it, so let's go see what they know.
Your next episode is going to be Golf 46. That is G46.
How many shots is in this drink? 2. Do you know how many calories are in a shot? I would guess about like 40. There's about 97 calories in each shot. Do you think that there's any nutritional value in alcohol? Probably a little bit. I don't. But I don't know. Okay, thank you.
Do you know the difference between empty calories and nutritional calories? Empty calories hold no nutritional value for your body, and nutritional calories do benefit your body. Okay, what do you think this alcoholic drink, do you think it's an empty calorie or a nutritional calorie? I'm gonna guess empty calorie. Would you say it's better to drink alcohol in overconsumption or moderation? Definitely moderation. Why? Why? Because there's no nutritional value in alcohol. Thank you. Do you know the difference between empty calories and nutritional calories?
Probably not, no.
Okay. Do you think there's any nutritional value in alcohol?
No, I don't think there's any nutritional value in alcohol.
How many calories do you think is in one shot of vodka?
I'm gonna go with like 85 to 100.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
Did I do it?
We have lots of wine to choose from. Okay, so we're trying to look at how many calories are in this bottle of wine, and there's actually no nutrition labels on any of them. So yeah, it shows you how good, how much people know when they buy a bottle of wine, how much good calories are in here.
Here's a Barefoot wine, and yet again, there's no nutritional facts. There's just a government warning and the alcohol percentage. So I'm holding a Truly Spiked and Sparkling, and the nutrition facts say that there's 100 calories per can, 5 milligrams of sodium, 2 carbohydrates, and 1 gram of sugar. No protein.
So I have some Ruby Red Grapefruit White Claws, and it says for one serving size of 12 full ounces, which is 1 can. It's 110 calories. And it also says that you get 100 calories from alcohol. There's 0 grams total fat, 20 milligrams of sodium, 4 grams of carbs, and no protein.
I'm holding Michelob Ultra. It is a light beer. It has 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, and there are no other nutritional facts other than that.
At Vans, they don't actually sell any like hard liquor, so we just thought we'd compare like if you were to mix the liquor with like a mixer. So this is a mojito mixer, and it has 120 calories per serving, and a serving size is 4 full ounces or a half a cup. And there's 0 grams total fat, 15 milligrams sodium, 31 grams of total carbs, and 0 grams of protein.
Okay, so in this frozen cocktail, we find that in just one serving, which is the whole pouch, there's 290 calories. And also in this, you'll see 230 milligrams of sodium, 50 grams of carbohydrates, 44 grams of sugar, 0 protein.